Finance Minister Piyush Goyal has presented the interim budget 2019-2020. I'm joined by Mr. Anil Bharadwaj, Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Micro and Small and Medium Enterprises, to unpack the budget from the MSME sector point of view. What are the expectations that you had, sir, and how far have these expectations been met in the budget?
Frankly, we had low expectations so far as this budget was concerned. We knew that it is an interim budget. Two, it was to be a populist budget because prior to election. And three, that in a run-up to the budget, there had been a series of announcements for MSME sector when the Prime Minister came out with a 12-point program, support program in November. So most of what we had been expecting had already been announced. So there were two areas in which we still thought that maybe if there is a room before the Finance Minister, then we could have one thing, income tax benefits related to MSMEs. There could be graded taxation. And secondly, with regards to access to credit, whether some new scheme, a new announcement, or maybe institution of a new institution for MSME sector. But that's fine, I think. What we can take solace from the fact is that overall the focus of the budget is on revival of growth, because if you look at the income tax benefits or housing sector related breaks that have been given, that would release quite a lot of money into the market, and that we hope would revive demand, which had remained subdued for a quite long time, especially after demonetisation and
Right.
GST also.
Right. The ministers also announced a 2% interest subvention for MSMEs on loan for startups of up to ₹1 crore. And he said something like 95 minutes, the loans will be cleared. How does the sector see that particular SOP that has been
See, this forms part of the 12 program that were announced by Prime Minister in November.
okay.
So he has only reiterated all those schemes that were already announced. There
it's
is
not
no new
something-
scheme.
something new.
There is no.
And which you
no
were not
scheme.
expecting anything great,
There's
earth-shattering.
nothing earth-shattering we were expecting.
Right.
For sure.
But as far as this government goes, over the last 4.5 years, in terms of growth, in terms of the sector, in terms of SOPs for the sector, how would you rate this government on a scale of 1 to 10 for the MSME sector?
That would be a little difficult for me to give numbers, but what I can point out is the certain pluses and the minus. And the pluses are definitely GST and insolvency and bankruptcy, and focus on Make in India, and especially on, you can say, improving ease of doing business.
Right.
That focus has been relentless over the last 4 years, and as a result,
has benefited the
yes. As a result, India has also jumped quite a number of notches up, approximately
that's
70
high
points.
praise, because half the people you speak to, and they have a lot of angst as far as GST is concerned.
I'll come to the angst, and the angst is primarily because of maybe that GST was not as thought through as perhaps it could have been. But there is always a room for such improvements.
Right.
And secondly was demonetization, which I think was a disaster, because that particularly has hit the micro, small and medium enterprises in the unorganized sector in a very, very bad way.
We keep talking about the unorganized sector, and there's this thing of pension plans. There's this mega pension plan for the unorganized sector. How much do you think that is going to bring about positivity in the sector as a whole?
I have not seen the details as yet. But the numbers that I'm getting is maybe 6,000 rupees annually or something.
That's for the farmers.
That's for the farmers. So I have not seen that how much ultimately is going to be the amount that in the hands of...
Right. I also would need to just go back to
But the problem with the schemes, especially in the unorganized sector, is that how do you connect to them? How do you reach out to them? It would take perhaps decades even for a simple scheme to ensure that ultimately they get the benefit. Right. So maybe a small percentage of unorganized sector might benefit, and sometimes people who ultimately get benefit may not be the ones who were intended. Who would need it. So it would be a kind of a double counting. People are working, but at the same time they are taking advantage of money in the informal sector.
So thank you, Mr. Anil Bharadwaj. There, Mr. Anil Bharadwaj, the President, the Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Micro and Small and Medium Enterprises. Overall, the budget hasn't given this sector much, he says, but a lot of SOPs have been given relentlessly over the last 4.5 years for the industry, over which he feels that a lot of effort has been put into the revival of the MSME sector in this government. And he also believes that the mega pension plan, which has now been announced today by the Finance Minister, may not really move or may not really benefit the intended beneficiaries because it's difficult to count the people and to actually reach out to people in the unorganized sector. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.